What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Got some more parts for the Civic, some safety parts this time. I've been kind of skimping out on these for like the last couple years, and I figured, you know, it's probably time to start investing some money into safety for this thing since it's a little beast. So we have Recaro seats in the Civic right now, but the seat brackets are for an Acura EL, so 3 out of the 4 bolt hole locations line up. I am gonna need to take a bolt out and then take it to a hardware store and get 4 and 4, so 8 bolts total of like grade 8 or 10. I probably won't do that today just to save time. I can always just zip a freaking easy bolt out right there and brap over to a hardware store. But today I'm just gonna get them bolted in the car with the Recaros. Hopefully it's not too much of a pain in the ass and they fit. I also might take off the sliders and hard mount the seats, just due to the fact that you'll be sitting lower, and I'm so tall when I sit in this car, I feel like I'm sitting way too high. And it's not even to do with the Recaros or the brackets they're on now. Even when the Civic had the stock seats in it with the stock brackets and everything, I still felt like I was sitting quite high. So hopefully the PLM seat brackets sit lower, because they do look a lot more low profile than those brackets even without the sliders. But without further ado, let's dive into this box and let's get it going. Okay boys, let's check these things out. These things weren't cheap either. These are Private Label MFG, ordered right off their website. No fucking around. Boom. There we go. Some nice brackets. So first things first, in order to get these brackets in the car, we're gonna need to take one Recaro out, take all the shit off of that, and then start figuring out how it mounts to the new seat brackets and whether we'll need more hardware or not. The other stuff will fit. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Let's do it. We just got the passenger seat out, and we gotta find the passenger seat bracket, which I think is gonna be the first one. Yeah, because the seat bracket is on the proper side, or the seat belt buckle is on the proper side. So we got the proper bracket to start off with. Let's start taking the Acura EL brackets and sliders off the Recaro. So I'm a little confused. As you can see, here's a complete seat bracket, and it doesn't even look like there's a seat bracket on this. It's just a rail and a slider. There's no bracket, so the sliders have to come off. That's just it. The sliders are a part of it. So the sliders actually, I might be able to reuse because they bolt here and they bolt here. I don't even know what the hell is going on with this side. And then the bracket itself is held on in here. So I'm just gonna start tearing everything off and see where we get with this. Okay boys, so I got the first slider off, so we might be able to reuse this, which would be nice, but at the same time, we're definitely not going to be able to reuse this because I just realized that the slider is a part of the actual mount. It's not a standalone slider, so that isn't going to fucking work. So there goes the idea of a slider. So RIP to anybody that's not 6'8" that wants to drive this shit. Haha. Okay boys, these have been a little bit of a nightmare, but we're making progress. The seat bracket is basically on. What I had to do was I had to take these like slider brackets and mount those back onto the seat because none of these holes would line up perfectly with what's on the seat. But there's enough exposed bolt holes to where I can fasten it down onto the little rail there. It's just like on this side, not so much, which unfortunately sucks, but I'm going to blast a hole right there so I can fasten one, and then there's one right there. So that's where we're at. These did turn into kind of a pain in the ass, and the camera battery died, so thank God Eli had one. Okay, so we're gonna have to put a pause on the seat brackets today because they are mounted to the seat. They are nice and tight, but I have 1 mount point, 2 mount point, 3, but this bolt's too small, so it needs to get replaced for one of this size. And then I need to basically drill out a little hole right here in the bracket underneath the PLM mount, so I can just drill a little hole and then put a bolt through this one, and then we'll have a big grade 8.8 bolt here, here, and then these two already got them, but I just need to get, I guess, 4 more of these bolts and nuts for the driver's side, and then 2 more to replace that small one, and then when we drill a hole there. And then these will be mounted. I can't even attempt that seat or finish this one because I seriously have no more hardware to put the bracket on those rails. So I'm at a standstill, so that's gonna be for next week.
2,000 years later.
Alrighty, day 2 of seat brackets. Today we're gonna go to the hardware store and we are going to get ourselves 16 bolts. Basically, we're gonna get 4 new bolts per side for the actual bracket to bolt to the floor. So that's 4 here and 4 on the driver's side, so there's 8 bolts. And then to mount the bracket to the actual rail of the Recaro, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, and as you notice here, there's no hole in the bracket underneath the seat mount, so it looks like we're gonna have to drill it out there or there so we can put a nut and bolt through it. But there's lots of surface area to do so, and I don't think it'll be a huge deal. Like even if we do one just right here, I think that should be more than perfect. I mean, there's 2 holes, there's one right here and right here, but they just don't line up, and it's a bummer. Honestly, I think if we put one right here though, right there, and then just nut and bolt it just like that, that, and that. I'm gonna get the highest grade I can, whether it's 8 or 10, and I'd like to get a little bit beefier bolt than that anyways. But for now, I don't even know if that's a good bracket location to be on the seat, so I kind of want to put this seat in the car and loosely just throw 1 or 2 bolts in and sit in it just to see the position of the seat, because that's another big thing. If it's too far, if the seat's sitting too far forward to the dash, that means we have to take the bracket and move it down more. If the seat's sitting too far back and you have too much legroom and it feels weird, then we need to slide the bracket up more. Right now, I got it about as center as I can. So I'm gonna take this, chuck it in the car, and I'll pick it back up when I do so, and we can see how that mount location works inside the car. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot to pick up the camera when the seat was in the car, but we just had it in the car. It only took 2 seconds. It was in there for like maybe 15 seconds. Just hand threaded in 2 bolts and sat in it, and it is almost perfect, but I do need to be sitting farther back to drive. If it was passengering, I could make it work, but I do need it to sit farther back to drive, and since I'm starting with the passenger seat, I gotta figure out the perfect location on the passenger seat since it's a replica for the driver's seat, and see if I need to drill more holes or need more bolts or different size bolts now. So basically what I'm gonna do for the seat to sit further back in the car, the bracket has to go forward so the seat sits more backwards. So it's right there. We don't really have much real estate left, but we're gonna have to be using something up here and drop this down, and we'll basically see where that leaves us. So without further ado, I'm gonna quickly unbolt that, and I'll pick up the camera when we can see what we're working with this unbolted again. So I just slid the seat bracket down like a substantial amount. This should be good, I'm hoping. I don't want to have to do this again. I kind of just want to collect my bolts and go get them so I can just not have to leave the shop again and get this done, but I got to find a good location first. It does look like we'll still have to blast a hole or 2 unless I find a ginormous washer, but that's just not really safe. So still gonna have to blast a hole somewhere, but we do have a good hole location. Right here's the one where we got to find a hole for, because there's that big one there, but I don't really know how to fasten that down with so much surface area. And then all the little ones, there is no bolt holes. So I'm thinking if we blast one right there, if this is a good mount location, because from underneath there's a lot of room, a lot of surface area. So that should be good. But I'm gonna place this back in the car and see how I fit. And this time I'll actually show you guys how I fit. Okay, so the seat's in the car with 2 bolts. Let's check her out. Gotta be kind of gentle, obviously, because none of it's really bolted down. But that is a beauty driving position for me, and these seat brackets are a lot sturdier. Like a lot sturdier, and I do find I don't sit a ton lower, but it is marginally lower. I can show you guys. See the gap from here to here? This seat kind of just goes into the side of this one, so you do get a good bit of drop. It's kind of hard to portray on camera, but this is a pretty good driving position. I mean, I'm 6'8", so this seat's just as far back as this one. In fact, this one seems like it's up a bit more, and that's what I drive with. So I don't really have much of a choice being this big in such a small car, so I think that's where the seat bracket's gonna stay. Now I can go get hardware and actually fasten this in and get the old driver's seat done, because this is where I spend all my time, behind the wheel, baby. Okay boys, so we just got back from the hardware store. We got a bunch of hardware, all grade 8.8, should be good stuff, load bearing, 1.25 thread, so it's all load bearing stuff. And I'm just gonna seal it with this thread sealant, and off we go. Once it's all bolted on, I'll pick up the camera, show you guys, and we'll get this thing mounted in the car. Unfortunately, they only had 4 bolts that'll fit mounting it in, so I'm gonna have to reuse 4 of the other ones, which is totally fine. They're not broken, nothing wrong with them. They're just old and grungy. But we'll be able to get this done today. So also got drill bits so I can blast a pilot hole right there, and let's get to it. Drilled the hole. We got her good. Bolt fits through, so we're gonna go ahead and fasten it down. Then this seat bracket is officially done. Let's go. Okay boys, so the passenger seat is installed in the car. I'm not too sure if you guys can see that with the glare, but me and Eli are just cracking down on the driver's side seat. Unfortunately with this seat, I put it a little bit farther towards the back of the car, so I have to drill 2 holes on this side and on this side, but 2 up there worked. So I'm just gonna blast one right here and right here. So let's get to it. Without sliders, these seats are a bitch to get in, so look at this position I'm in here. Quarter turn at a time. Not stoked. Okay boys, and that concludes the seat brackets. They were a bitch to put on the seats, they were a bitch to put in the car, but the seats are solid. They sit way lower than they did with the sliders, which is nice, which is what I really need. Before, on the inside, my head would smash against the pillar here, and now my head sits below and I can freely move in and out. You sit a lot lower, the seats are plenty more solid, and I really couldn't be more stoked with them, except it is tenfold times harder to install them and take them out than it was with the sliders. There's just no room, and they're so low to the ground, there is like 0 space. You just can't really do anything. But at the end of the day, we got them installed, and I don't think these seats are ever coming back out of the car. The driver's side seatbelt got installed. Forgot to do it on the passenger seat, so I guess that one's gonna have to come back out, but I am not doing that today. So, comment, like, and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.